what I'm doing, then just be like, oh yeah, it'll just flow, which is highly very risky. It's not impossible, it's very risky. But if you have an experience, you know what you're doing, people around you respect you, they give you more importance, and you'll have your own stay in your wherever you're whatever you're doing, you'll have your own stand, and people will support you for that. And it doesn't mean that people can't support you if you just start in the beginning, but you should just know what you're doing. That's it.
I think it also really depends on where do you see yourself settling in future. Like, do you see yourself settling in India or abroad, and what kind of projects you really want to do? So just like Akash pointed out, and also Ashka pointed out, the instincts that you really have in yourself, the drive um, that you want to explore, really decides whether you should pursue a few years of experience. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't really work. So yeah, it's up to you. And for me, I think the experience that I had with the firm in India, I don't think it really mattered when I came to London, because the things that we are looking at right now is that really at a very macro scale. So we were doing projects which were very residential based and interior based, and those things are not really what we are pursuing right now. So it really depends on what kind of masters you want to go, and then when to establish your own firm. So for me, I would just like wait for 2 or 3 years before I open my own firm, because I need that experience. Because urbanism is very vast. It's very like it's a big thing. So before going into that leap, I would like to gain more experience in that. Yeah.
Yeah, like following up on what Ashani said, I think when you graduate with just like a undergrad degree, the amount of knowledge you have is very limited. And once you come here you come and see it's whole different new things, like a lot of other things that you need to know. So I think opening a firm is a big decision. I don't see myself doing it anytime soon or even in future. I don't think I have that ability to open my own firm. But I think if people want to go for it, absolutely depends on instinct that these people, like the seniors told. But it's like you should be very confident that in the amount of knowledge that you've gained, and also you should be more like receptive towards what is coming to you. I mean, you got to be open to different concepts. Like right now, the amount of knowledge and amount of details and amount of fields, there are other more fields that you really need to know before you actually want to jump in and start a new firm. So I think just to have the more exposure and just to have more knowledge about things would actually eventually help you to one day like pursue your own firm. Yeah.
Personally, I think yes, do instincts do matter. That is true. But it also depends on how far you are gonna take yourself into, how, like, in what type of projects you are planning to do your further explorations, I guess. So that is what it depends. I am currently part of a firm in India as well, but the firm does very small scale projects, and the firm is not ready yet for a big scale project. So I think after my post graduation and after some more experience, I think that would be a better idea to take up that scaled projects. And yeah, I think rest everything is explained by everyone.
everyone. Yeah, I totally agree with all of them. And another point of view I would like to give you is think about is uh, as an architect, you're not designing it for yourself, but you're designing for a client, and you need a maturity to a certain level of maturity to do it yourself. And when you graduate, you know that I like this one, I don't like this one, but the fact is that the client is going to live there for like 30 years or 40 years and not you. So it is very important for you to first go to someone and know their experience, learn from their experience, uh, before you jump into your own thing. Because you may think that this will look good, this will not look good, but the important thing is that will that serve their need for the next 30 years or 40 years? And that is someone you get to learn from, someone who has done that before. So I think it is very important for you to get the experience before you start your own thing.
Yeah, I think I will add one more point. Like, I think you should be confident enough to open your own firm. I think what you want to achieve through your own project, I think maybe many people have told you, or maybe not. Like, architecture is not only about designing. So whatever in bachelor we do is most of the things which we are actually learning here right now is mostly designing. But there are so many different layers after that. And once you do your internship, I think those layers keep on opening in front of you. That's how you understand. That's how you get some maturity. But even after that, there are still many layers that you can still integrate. So that's where people try to go for masters. And I think master is the place where people can, like learn few more things and how even a good design can be taken into a further next level. So that is something which you would like to achieve. Then that is also a step that you would like to take. And after that, taking an experience working outside is again something which you would like to take some kind of a confidence from it. And maybe once someday, like you realize, okay, like all this thing I can handle each like alone. I can make people work behind me. I know this knowledge. I know how to make people work for it. So you can build the team. And I think that's when you can think about, okay, like I want to go for uh, opening up my own firm. But I think you should, at current stage of this period, like where competition is really high, I think you should think about more than just designing and a few services, but I think it's more about like how you will tackle the future climate and the all uh, emergencies that is coming for 2030, all these visions. So I think how you are taking your own projects in that direction, that is also something important that will help you to decide your decision after your bachelor's.
Thank you. It surely did answer our questions. The next question that we have is, as students, what should we do to enhance our portfolios, and how can we include international achievements, and what importance does those achievements hold when we are applying for a bigger firm?
I think this is also going to be similar answer for everyone on the panel, but I think you should always redraw your portfolio. That's one thing I've learned over the years, and I also review a lot of portfolios, and we come to know that whether the person has really put an effort in the portfolio. We don't read resumes. We maybe read resumes, but we never read cover letters. It's portfolio is basically your identity, right? That without meeting a person, you're sharing your identity with someone. And I would put more effort than what you've presented for your last jury or, for your in your school, and then really work on adding consistency, adding more layers to your portfolio. Other thing is you can add personal work. Internships is not, you only have one internship in India, but you can get more internships while, in summers between your first year and second year and third year, and add that work to your portfolio to make it stronger. And then the third thing is international, national, local competitions that you can work with an organization or look for competitions online. And that's where, even if you don't win, you still have a new project to add to which your colleagues don't. So there are multiple ways, and the other thing is more than portfolio as well. You need to network with people. You need to know more people. So you need to say, this semester I'm going to introduce myself to 10 new architects, and you can either go to or like IIA events, or MSU is hosting so many great events. So that's another place where the more people know you, the stronger your portfolio is going to be.
Yeah, I think that was really nice answer by Devanshi, and I will add few more points about. I think for portfolio, you should be making it in a way like how easily you can represent your idea through your drawings and your illustrations. So that is what it should come out with. Of course, people, you might have hearing from people like there should be less text. So the meaning about this is, of course, like it should be more graphically presented in which you can actually convey all of your idea. Not only idea through one illustration, but the whole project should actually convey a story. Like how did you progress and how did you apply the whole process of your studio? So everything should get reflected because they are not only interested about what was the final outcome, but they are also interested about how did you find this outcome and how did you make a change from a previous stage to the final stage. So that is something which actually also makes a viewer interested about. And I think that's how you can actually also show yourself in front of all other portfolios. And yeah, networking is really, really important. And I would definitely suggest you all people that LinkedIn currently is actually a really good platform to gain any international opportunities. It's not like people only like working abroad or like having masters in good universities are getting a good opportunities in big firms. But I think even from being in India, if you are in touch or if you are regularly checking LinkedIn, if you keep on applying, I think there are pretty much equal chance that you can also get some kind of an opportunity anywhere in the world. Not only going for master and that work, but directly from India to going to a studio. So I would definitely recommend to be more and more active on LinkedIn, show your work over there, fill your LinkedIn profile really up to date, and try to get connected with people or the firm that you are really interested into, see how they are working, and your portfolio should also reflect similar kind of work, but in a better approached way. If you are applying, then I think it would be some kind of a key points that can let you achieve your success in applying. Yeah.
Thanks, Akash. I totally agree with Devanshi and Akash. They have great point. I would like to add a work ethics point of view. Bigger firms here, when they hire an architect or a designer from school, they don't expect you to know everything. They know that you're not going to know everything. You just have to show them you're keen to learn, you're keen to work with them, you're a team worker. And it's not your portfolio is, even if it doesn't look great, you can still explain what your thinkings are. And you don't have to panic if you don't have a portfolio that looks like some graphic designer made it. But but you just have to be confident, and you have to make sure that they know that you're keen to work under them, you're keen to learn, and you're good at obeying orders, and you're a team worker.
Just one more point. I think that for academics or for I don't know about the what the firms see. I know what the colleges are really seeing right now. So I think that um, when it comes um, to the to the course that you're applying, your portfolio should resonate with the course that you're applying. So if for instance I'm applying for housing, then maybe I will put those projects in the front so that people can see, okay, I'm really keen into developing all of these things. And if I'm applying for landscape, or if I'm applying for sustainability, so some of those changes could be, and your portfolio could be really like tailor made to each of these different courses. So that I think you should really keep in mind, and what kind of things are they really looking for. They already write it in the website. They write that what kind of things that they really like see in the portfolio. And also you can email some of these universities also. That also I think it's very helpful, because I did that in A, and they give me like a list or something for at like what kind of things do they really see. So like you could do that if that helps.
Totally. I agree to all of them. Also, I think the portfolio, I mean, first of all, they do matter. They do. But they don't have to be the only primary, like your priority or like the focus point of it. Also, I think your portfolios need to be very concise and precise. I mean, what I have, like when I was job hunting, I've realized that the portfolios that were like 10 pages or 20 pages, 10 pages or 12 pages with very like few projects that are very like, focused on what type of work you want to do succeeded more than having like 40 pages of portfolio and having like 4 pages per subject, like housing, 6 pages. I mean, you have to realize that the people who are like reviewing your portfolios are professionals. They don't have time to look through all the. So the more concise and more precise and more focused your portfolio is, the better. Also, I think not only the problem that I faced was because I had to like time and again improve my portfolio or add some things or make changes. What I did and what I regret is I started making portfolio in Photoshop. And then every time I have to make a page, I have to make a new Photoshop file, a new page, a new export PDF. So I think if you can make it a little more precise in a way where you can edit with the minimal changes or minimum efforts, or even like make portfolios online, because now there are platforms where you can actually like make portfolios online and not like combine and export PDFs. I think that would really help and save a lot of time when eventually you need to make changes time and again. Yeah, that helps.
To conclude, I guess everybody has answered on point. I would like to add is do your research. That is all you have to do. Do your research. Either you are applying for a firm or for a college, for anywhere you are applying to, do your research on what that firm is currently focusing on, because every firm or every university is focusing on something which is on a global platform, on a global perspective. That could really help you in adding which kind of projects you would like to add in your portfolio, because all matters is quality and not quantity. So I think that, and also I would like to add is now after I guess COVID, there are platforms where you can do short courses. So I think look on it, like how the courses are structured, or you could also gain experience on like doing a short course. You will realize that either you want to do urban design, or you want to do sustainable, or you want to do any other field which is open to you, because after bachelor's you are open to various kinds of fields. So do that, do your research, add quality of work, and that's how you'll able to manage to get into something which you have a goal on, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, hey everyone. Just to add few points from what people said, I would strengthen what Akash said about LinkedIn, and I would like to tell you how did I get the job. And I was trying with the normal way that people apply for the from with portfolio and sending out uh, emails to everyone, but I did not get a very good response for that. But what I did was to strengthen my LinkedIn profile, and I started approaching people from LinkedIn, like not the most senior people who are like founders or something, but the next level who are like actually hiring. So what I did was I approached them and I did not send them CV. I just sent them my portfolio because I think that's what they are looking for. You have to consider that your CV is not at all strong enough. Like you are just bachelors. Even don't consider my CV as strong. So you should consider your CV is not strong, but so you talk to the second layer of people who are actually hiring and send them that this is why I'm interested in your particular firm. And I think LinkedIn is a really good platform to do that and directly send messages. So that was one of the important thing I did. And to strengthen my profile in general, I was looking for what, as Jeev said, I was looking for places where I could strengthen my skills, but not from the courses. I mean, also from the courses. But what I did, one thing was I was working in a company in Kenya remotely. So what they wanted was they wanted someone who has experience in parametric design. So imagine that there is a place even in the South African countries where they are using this kind of skills. And as a freshers, you have these skills. And I was working there for free. I was working as a design volunteer. And that added up into my profile as someone who is really interested in computational design and does not care a lot about earning at that point. So that these kind of things where you show that your skills are you are improving your skills and helping community selflessly and with your profession, that helps. So you can try to find a job where you can actually contribute, like remotely. Imagine these kind of places. Even in Kenya, I was working from the Netherlands in Kenya remotely. So you can do something like that to strengthen your portfolio and your resume.
Can I add one more thing? While all of you were talking about, two things came to mind. So there are two ideas in US. I don't know about Europe, but there is something called informational interview, and then there is something called portfolio review. So those two things are not really a job interview, but if, for example, my firm is not hiring right now, but if someone reaches out to me as an informational interview, I'd just like to know about your firm. What would it take for you for me to be hired in your firm? People are more likely to take that call and connect. So that's one thing in networking. And then the other thing is portfolio reviews are very common in the universities in US. So you just invite people from target firms into your college. And have them review your portfolio. So that's another way to get honest feedback on your portfolio. Maybe something that S.A.S body can look into doing. I wish I had that at MSU.
Yeah, I will add also one more point. Like, of course, like you would be definitely taking care of all these points, whatever like all of them has said, but never forget your basics. Go through your portfolio 100 times. Avoid each and every spelling mistakes.
That's very
Trust me,
important.
that is very important.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's
they
a
will just
major
see
red
like you
flag.
are really careless and they will just reject you on the
And
same point.
don't just copy and paste from internet, please.
Yeah, there's like a
Don't do
plagiarism.
that. Do
Yeah,
not.
plagiarism is a big thing outside India.
Even
Yes.
if you want to try to explain the definition of sustainability in your some kind of a text, there are many definitions available on Google, but try to reframe it on your own words. Never do the same because everybody knows the definitions and everything, like how it reads on the Google or whatever. But so be careful about all sorts points as well.
Thank you all. These are great tips. I'm sure all of us will take them and apply them whenever we build on our portfolios. So there is a follow-up question on the same question. We want to know if online certification courses from prestigious universities like Harvard and MIT, how much effect do they have when applying for jobs?
I think this does not need all review for all of from all of us. It's like it's more about like these courses are eh, the important for you to have is have your skills being shown and your profile being strengthened, and whichever courses you did from whichever universities. But if you do not have enough skills for my company, I would not hire you. So that is more important than having doing courses from different universities to strengthen your portfolio. I think I think that will be a common answer from all of them.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
should actually progress upon your like choose a course based on the course and the topic and the skill that you want to include, as Sachin said, not based on what university it is being taught by. So I think that should be your first way to look.
Right. I think at this point, when you are just like graduating, the only importance it has is it just makes you seem that you're aware that all of these exist around you, that you're not limited to only your college. I think that is the only importance that it has at this stage in life. Beyond that, focus courses works better, and not just like blindly any course from any college just because it's Harvard or MIT.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely Howard and MIT has great courses, though, not to demean them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it definitely helps. And if you can do that, you should definitely add it to your resume, but it just do not has to be, I mean, it doesn't have to be because I want to add something. It has to
Mm.
be what they said.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that answered that question. Moving on to the next question here in discussion of all the people we have present here, there are three keywords: green design, sustainable design, and resilient design. So we would like you to elaborate on all three of them and know the similarities and or the differences.
Okay, noted question. Uh,
I think it's a Shishir sir type question.
sorry, say that
Shishir
again.
sir type. Shishir sir type question.
Oh, sure, sir. Yes. Um, I think I don't know what green design is, and at the risk of greenwashing the term, I'll avoid answering that. But I think, at least the way I see it, is every design, we shouldn't have to use a word or a term to just do good design. So design, we should design places, buildings, um, uh, connections, infrastructure that is better for your environment. If it is not making the environment better, it should at least not harm it. And that should be just the basis of all design. That's how I see it. But again, if I were to separate between sustainable design and resilient design, I would say that sustainability is something that you're trying to sort of, again, going back to not harming the environment, where resiliency is something where you're trying to prepare yourself for an external adversary situation, whether, and again, like resiliency is also more of a psychological term that we have adapted in terms of climate design. So resilient meaning that you're able to sort of any external negative force that is coming to you, you are able to push back on it. That's sort of how resiliency came about. So whether that force is terrorism, that people use resiliency in terrorism and counterterrorism, they use it for climate change, but it also means, you're being resilient towards poverty, for example. It can be in the sentence, however you use it, it can mean many things for me.
That's definitely true. Like all these words and all these concepts are like very, very wide. Like sustainability specifically is very wide. I would say like sustainability still will come on the top, like because resiliency and green architecture or green design can be part of sustainability. Like a green design or resilient design is a sustainable design. But sorry, all sustainable design are resilient or green design, you can say that, but not all green design or resilient design are sustainable. So you can actually consider it in this way. And sustainability is not only related to environment, but also for social and economical growth. And recently, there is some kind of a new terminology coming, which is called green finance. So there will be like some kind of an investor which would be helping to invest into some kind of a firms or design which are keen to do a sustainable approach and sustainable development. So it's also actually expanding even on the terms of green. And resiliency is something which mostly depends on the future scenario. So something that you are building right now, it should be resilient enough to tackle all the future climate changes or future human needs. So yeah, like you can interconnect each of them, but I think each one of them is important to be part of your design.
And also, like, I think that all of these terms center around self-sufficiency in a way. And also the recent report which IPCC board, I mean, they told that climate change is inevitable and we have to live with that. So, like, all of these terms really help you think in a certain way, like resilient or sustainable or self-sufficient, self-reliant, whatever you want to call it. But it really centers around how you want to build like sufficiently for the future. So rather than like just pointing out differences, like just see the key points which these three terms really aim at. So yeah, that's
I totally agree with previous speakers, and I would like to also add that green building or sustainability or resiliency are not just words, they have their own characters. It's very important to understand how each of them work before you start applying them, because for you sustainability might be just using different materials or just using environmental friendly materials, but it's not exactly what that
That
is.
is,
It
it
should be
should be
self-sustained,
self-sustained,
and
and
unless and
unless and
until you
until you
can
can understand.
understand the meaning of it, you can never imply it on your design.
Uh, to add, I would just like to say is sustainability is very vast. Whatever, like, it's just not design, it is also based on global challenges which are going on. So it I think if you want to know more about sustainability or green building or any of these terms, I think you should look up to how the buildings are the labeled buildings are working on or how the materials are smartly sourced and not harmed, or it is like very circle that you can go on. It is really vast for what we thought it could be. So right now what I am learning, I'm doing my post graduation in sustainable environmental design, but what I am currently observing is it is not just practical, it is also technical aspects are also very important in this kind of designs. It also depends on how your building could work by its own, and it does not need any external factors to act on it, or how it could be more resilient when the factors could be on the building. So that is how you could learn this through the examples or through the different. So there are different examples on each of the terms, and the terms are interrelated. So you'll get to know more better when you learn the words or the terms in a correct, better way. I think that's how it goes.
And just to conclude, I think there is no one single answer to all of this. And it's a very trial and error thing. You try one concept on one building, it might work, it might not work when you like calculate the like results of it. So all these terms are very trial and based errors. And the more you just like involve yourself and indulge yourself into it and like have them into your like incorporate them into your buildings, the more you get to know about it and the more you get to explore. So there is no like a single answer or like single one point answer. It's like everything is right and everything is can be done better.
I mean, I am not very useful in explaining a sustainable design itself because I'm more into large scale structures, and they are more focused on the engineering part of it. But as far I'm working in a timbers engineering company, so they make some of the largest timber structures in the world. But I think timber is not like it is just more sustainable than steel and concrete for sure. And material itself is a important part of building, but it is not like 100% sustainable material. But the good thing about making building precast building or something like that is you avoid on-site work, and you avoid those kind of sustainability part where construction during construction when you have emissions and stuff like that. So those things maybe can be avoided with such type of construction, but otherwise I do not practice too much in sustainable or green building side.
It reminds me of what Shishay sir used to say, the most sustainable thing to do is not build anything at all.
Yeah.
I can say something better. I read somewhere like they were saying like sustainability is no human, problem solved. I recently actually visited one of the exhibition here, and it was about like waste age, AGE. So they were like actually showing more about like plastic waste and everything and circular economy stuff. And in the end, like they were actually showing like how you can actually reduce the carbon footprint of your life, like regular life. And they were showing like, okay, like try using like go for like electric car or maybe no car, and then try to not waste water or like use less energy. Don't have like dish dryer or like a cloth dryer in your house. Then in the end, they showed the right one point, which was saying that go for only one baby, not more than that. Don't go for the second one. So you can be more sustainable.
It the awareness is very less in India right now, because if you see people here in their regular lives, we do not throw the cans in the trash can. That's a really small thing that you can do for a world, but it also adds not just designing, but looking a world as a bigger picture, as you're a participant, that you have to participate in something that actually matters a lot.
I think another last point is I would say that our traditional Indian lifestyle, I think we all experienced that. That was a very sustainable lifestyle that our grandparents and our ancestors lived. For example, they did not have polythene. When they go shopping, they had their cloth bag and everything. So those kind of lifestyle choices which were there in our traditional lifestyle, they were very sustainable. So maybe when you practice your architecture, you can incorporate our own ideas from yeah from our old age. You can incorporate then that in our design, and that would make a locally sustainable design. That is, I think, important to design local.
Contextually driven.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. This discussion surely did clarify the question. Since we're already on the topic, there is another question. It says that generally we hear that buildings that are termed as sustainable require less money for maintenance and preservation. So, what is your stand on this?
I think it
Does
is
someone
more
else want to
about
talk it? Yeah.
yeah yeah it is more about. So if you design a house which is in Baroda, you design the house. You would if you have money, you would design something inspired from USA or from Europe. But the fact is that you are designing it in Baroda, and if you design use the local material, you use a local lifestyle into design, that would make your house more sustainable rather than yeah. So yeah, that is more important thing to do.
To answer your question, Rahi, I think it's less maintenance for sure, but to build something sustainable cost money, but that money is eventually spent before, and then you know it's like it's spending money before, and then you're expecting it to be less sustainable, but it's good for environment. So you're spending the same amount of money, I think, but it helps the environment, which is really big thing.
Yeah, I think sustainability is like an investment.
It is like an investment.
a great
So
and
yeah,
rewarding experience like that.
I will just say that like currently, like usually, like many people in India, like if you talk about on the side of client, they really don't know what's happening in the climate change. They really don't know what sustainability is. What they see is like maybe like some example house example of their neighbors or their friends, like how they have built what looks good, and that's how they might want to go for it. So personally, I'm talking like I have worked in India, and I have worked as an employee and also as a freelancer, so I know some of the experience out of it. But I would rather say that like it's a responsibility of us as a designer to like show them what's good for them, because they don't know everything and they might not have that vision that we can create for them. So it's really important for you to make them teach a little bit, and from which you can also get a good example of your work out of, like out of your design, and they can also benefit it from them. And maybe like, let's say like in the initial stages, they might not go with you, but maybe after a few years they will realize, okay, like what you did was correct, and maybe then they come back to you and they might, like bring up with more opportunity, like, okay, like can you help my friend achieve the same things? And so that is also something which you can try to do by teaching your client.
I surely hope that when we get to that point, we are able to do that. One more question that we have is about urban design. So currently we're witnessing an amalgamation of villages and towns with cities. Everything is getting closer. So according to you, how does this affect the overall development and urban design in itself?
I think we have to be proactive. And the other thing is that I don't know if it has changed in the last 10, 12 years, but there is one thing that is different in US and in India is that there is a strong public process, right? So what we call the NOI in India, you have to actually go through a whole public process and build consensus with the community if you want to expand or anything, build a new project, right? So and the other thing is that India as a country is sort of at the time where they're doing the same things that US did with the highways and the flyovers in the 60s and the 70s, and those were proven to be mistakes, and they're trying to rectify it. And same thing with what there's a term called suburban sprawl, which is this expansion of cities into rural areas. Um, I don't know if people still go to Sindrot, but that was one relief, right? Like, chalo Pavagadh chalte hain ya Sindrot chalte hain. So the reason we go to Sindrot is because that's a relief from the urban life into the nature. But I'm seeing that Sindrot corridor is now a whole development area, and like people are now living in Sindrot. So you need to strike a balance, and that's something that we need to work with the government too on it. And there are some things that we can do consciously, but then there are things that need to be driven by regulation and policy and planning in order to balance sort of the nature that's around the city with the need for the development. I used to be like, one trivia thing that I used to tell my friends here is that, oh, it took me less than 4 minutes to get from my home to MSU, right? That's one value of living in a city. But as we expand, we need to learn from the mistakes that Western cities have made and are now working towards rectifying it.
Yeah, and it really is based on contextual approach to wherever that agglomeration or the stitching of certain parts of the city are happening. So like emptiness is also beautiful. So like preserving that should be also a goal in the future because as Devanshi also rightly pointed out that like the nature is also a great part of our life and we need to preserve that. what's happening right now is people are kind of investing in those agglomerated lands because the land ownership is like easy to get, and because of that people are developing more and more over there. And also with the transit oriented system, what happens is people are easily approaching a point A to point B, and because of that also urban sprawl is happening. So if government decides that maybe we will not engage in a transit in purely a transit oriented system, that may then maybe such big um, development won't happen in the future. So it also depends on the government and the policies, especially which of land ownership and stuff. um, yeah, and it's rightly pointed out because um, people are moving away because they have cars, because they have vehicles to approach those. If they won't have all of this, they won't come to the agglomerated lands. So yeah, just a point to think about.
And the other idea in planning is sort of polycentric system, right? That does someone living in outer urban areas, do they really need to come to the center of the city, or that outer urban cluster already has amenities and social services that one would need, right? So then that becomes maybe a little more sustainable system than everyone from the outside commuting to the city center and doing the same thing in the evening, going back home. So it's again, it's a very loaded question to answer in such a
Yeah.
short time.
Well, practically speaking, I my major was urban planning, and we were meeting various people from different neighborhoods in LA. And if you know LA, it's very spread out. For me to go to work every day, it takes me about hour or more than an hour one way. So so it's not it's but it's really hard to convince people to use the transportation that's provided by government. So it's also the stubbornness that's a problem, and not just the planning part of it, because planners can do here. Practically speaking, people are more involved in planning than in India. So it there are high chances that it can really go wrong, or it can really go, 100% right. It's very hit or miss.
Also, just like following up on what Devanshi said, right now, I don't think as like 5, 6 years ago, where people are literally like going out of the city. I think people more are inclined towards community living now, where you share amenities and leave that void open. So it's even in balance with what the city needs and also what the people and the community needs. So I think that is what I am seeing right now coming up more than people actually just going out of the city and like building on the periphery. So I think even in the cities, those blocks are being opened up and the communities are being shared and the amenities are being shared. And I think that is, I think, the current trend which is going on. And I think that is something that is going to be following up for the next 5, 6 years now, at least.
I think
I think
many people
adding.
covered this point about open space. And I think that open space is also very much related to health and well-being. I think currently, maybe not in India, they might not be talking about health and well-being in the planning, but I think in countries like USA, Europe, like UK, they have been talking about health and well-being on top of mostly everything. So in urban planning, I think they are providing certain kind of an amenities or the open recreational areas in which people can actually have and feel more healthy environment. They're actually providing more pedestrian friendly environment in which you use less car, less fuel, and you have more space to enjoy for your own self. And recently, I think many people might know about this. There is certification which is similar to LEED and BREEAM, which is called WELL. It's only based on health and well-being. So it is also a big part in urban planning. Yeah, Zay, you can go ahead. Sorry about it.
So, like the point that is being pointed, health and well-being. I guess that is how urban uh, planning should be approached now, because you can't control how the city could expand, because if you control one side, there would be expansion on the other side. So I think there should be integration. That is how you could approach this, instead of not having what people would approach to. So seeing London, I guess I have experience that there are parks in between the city where people, like a sort of community, goes for their own relaxation to that open space, and then it is very nearby to where they live or where they commute. So I think that's how it could be approached now. And like it also depends how a city has its own evolvement, and also how the population is reacting to that uh, expansion, I guess. Yeah.
I think all the points are being covered, which were in my mind. So you can go ahead.
Just to add a small thing, I think the zoning makes a big part in this process. In India, the zoning system is very different than here. Like when I was in India, I heard a lot of stuff about, if you have heard non-agricultural land, NA. People use this word NA to it's basically non-agricultural land is basically you cannot build on that land. Not to put India down or anything, I'm proud of my country, but there are people who are corrupt and they try to change the non-agricultural land into, agricultural land into a non-agricultural land, and they try to build on it. So that's one of the reasons that we are facing with the planning. That is a big problem, which is highly not possible here, because whenever you're building something, you have a public hearing, and if you're changing a zoning, you have to have a major reason to change a zoning. And there is a term called CEQA. It's a analysis. You can look it up on Google, and it basically provides everyone a liberty of having a say in what's getting built. So I think that's a very important community perspective that we should have.
I think like not only converting agriculture land to non-agriculture, but even if you are like planning a housing and if you are giving a common space, then maybe don't turn that common space into a parking or something like that. Maybe like a concrete part. I think at least whatever kind of a regulation that we have been given, maybe at least try to achieve that part. I think many real estate people they do not care about it, but I think health and well-being is going to be a bigger issue in next 10 years, if I'm not wrong. So maybe for your future, I think it can be a good approach to take for your design as well.
Yes,
And
sure.
also, like,
Yes,
should
yes,
I go? There's also an approach of what is called archipelagos, which is very much centered around polycentric planning. So there are these islands which are self-sufficient, which could work with the city, which was also the concept of garden city, but it's a little more refined than that, which is happening, which is also really happening right now. It's a trend, and also some of the countries are implementing this. So maybe this could work in India or it could not work in India, based on what kind of self-sufficient needs we have. So just imagine you have a core and you have those archipelagos which are there inside your whole urban frame or peri-urban, whatever you want to call it, the frame, and those work with and besides the city. So that's also a very good concept which is like coming right now, and it's a trend.
I think with that, like you can also like not only think in urban planning about like people and their movement and their lifestyle, but also about the environment because mostly in urban planning or urban design, we try to forget about environment because of the bigger planning. I think that can be optimized. There are like computational tool and methods that can help to make that. I think Zil here can explain really well. Like she has been working on like how to achieve microclimate on some kind of an urban space as well. So that is also very important to achieve.
Yes, I guess
Sorry,
so.
I
That's it.
had some
Yes, yes, sure.
sorry for that. Yeah, you can go forward.
You can add anything.
Uh, just like what Akash said, yeah, microclimate is something really, really important. Now, when we see dense cities, you can easily see tall building rising up to skyline and everything, but nobody knows how ground condition would work, like how the ground conditions of every urban dense planning could, how population would react to that, or how the dead spaces could be a voids in between. So it is really important to know how the ground conditions, or if you are adding up to the skyline, or if you are adding any building into a urban zone, you should know how it would react to the microclimate of that urban space. Yeah, so that's the term.
And this was a really great discussion. That's all for the formal questions we have. But since we are celebrating our ninth reflection, we would like to know what are your favorite memories from of the department or of MSU.
Devanshi should start since
Yeah,
she's the
Oh,
most
start
senior.
with most.
oh, I'm feeling old. Um, I have so many, and I feel like listening to all of you that the department has changed a lot too. I've not been to India in 3.5 years due to the pandemic, but I'm looking forward to go to India this year. I think the canteen was my favorite spot, and more so for everyone. But I remember in basic design, Mayur sir made us cut bricks into 1:5 scale models, and then we were supposed to do masonry out of it. So that was one of the memorable things. Um, but I think we were the ones who created the pond too in the center. It didn't
Oh
exist
wow.
before, so that was another
Thank you for doing so.
memorable. Huh?
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
doing.
doing
Thank you
that.
for doing so.
Yeah.
Everyone used to throw everyone in the pond when they had
Yeah,
their
that became
birthdays.
a
Yeah.
thing.
I was not looking forward to that part at all.
Yeah,
That still happens.
I was never thrown into it, which is good. But then I think even with one of the things the senior used to make us do is just try to catch fish in the pond. Like you have to be really steady to do that. But yeah,
Great. I think we were the one who renovated the pond again with the mosaic. So it was a little upgradation. And then I think we also started reflection. Correct me if I'm wrong, Akash.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's what
I think
Yeah.
we
one of
just
our
started
like
with.
best memory that we can actually share here,
Yeah.
like how we
Yeah.
That's
started
the
our
reason
reflection
why,
event.
well, yeah, that's the reason why I was up at 4:30 in the morning today, but no one showed up, so I was really disappointed.
oh,
Yeah, but we all know MSU time management, so been there, done that, but gotten better. So I'm hoping that everyone will get better soon.
I think we were also probably the class, maybe not our class, but when I was there, they started the Navratri celebration. It didn't exist before. We all used to go to United Way, and then we started coming to the department.
Yeah, I think that was the ritual.
It is
Yeah.
so funny that right now, when I think of it, I've actually danced with most of you guys on that stage in reflection. Like, I literally can see practicing with all of you on that stage and like dancing on that stage. It literally feels like a reunion today. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great to be here, and thank you, organizers. And I hope it was helpful for you guys too. I don't know what your time constraints are, since it's 9 p.m. in India. So I'm I'm guessing all the girls will have to go home soon.
It's gonna be a DJ night today. I'm not
I
wrong.
think it will be a
Oh.
farewell for the graduating
Graduating.
graduating.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Right.
it should be a
yeah.
farewell,
My favorite
I
part
think.
was watching all their movies every year.
Video.
Yeah.
A lot of memories.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. I think every nook and corner of DN Hall or the Cube building is filled with memories, I guess, for everyone out there.
Right.
I think I don't know if that continued over, but that was just one time when we had this S.A.S event. I think earlier it used to be also 1 or 2 days, but it wasn't as formal as reflections. But that was the time when we cleaned the department,
I
and
think reflection.
everyone, all 5 years, cleaned the department too.
I think
Yes.
reflection was started with this batch. Like there was another event before, but when
Yeah.
their batch started, like
Yeah.
it was the first event, and then it was our chance, and we were planning to do another event, but then we decided to make reflection as a brand event for every year. So it was from our batch that was the second reflection. Then we tried to up the game and like make it bigger. Of course, they were the seniors who had the most experience. So it was the second event was where we actually conceived the name called Reflection at that time. Yeah.
And the most funny part I find is every batch thinks that they're the best batch.
Of course.
So just to just to put it out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we didn't had this pleasure to have or see many of our alumni who were working outside or abroad or working abroad. So I think it's a good initiative that you are taking this year. I think many students might get some
Yeah.
helpful suggestions from this. I hope this would definitely help few of them who were like in confusion or who wanted to look out for some answers. So yeah, I think it's a really good initiative.
I feel like I saw Ashka maybe while I was still in India, but all the other of you are all new, so I'm happy to get introduced to you guys too.
Yeah.
I think Ashka started the year that I graduated.
Me and Akash started in 2010. Yes, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
correct.
so
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. So I
I
have seen
I
you.
did not see you, Akash, then.
Okay.
uh, yeah.
Maybe I was in the volleyball court.
It was really nice to see all familiar faces for sure. And thanks for hosting this.
It has been a great pleasure to have you all, and it is really overwhelming to listen all these stories that still go on. The legacy still continues. We all have the same kind of fun, the pond, the sports, and reflection, of course. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And thank you so much for taking out time and adjusting to the Indian time schedule. It has been really great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, I'm
thank you
going to
for
bed.
Thank you.
organizing a body.
Thank you. Same.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
good
much.
one.
It
Bye.
was really nice meeting you all again and having this conversation with you all and the audience that is present there.
All the very best who all are listening to this presentation. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us
Yeah.
on Instagram, on Facebook, whichever way you find, and we'll try our best to help you out. And to put it out there, I actually work under MSU alumni who was graduated in maybe 70s. I don't even remember. So
Yeah.
so we are always, we are always a big family, and we should always help each other.
Yeah,
Yes,
Ashka
it
actually got a
feels really.
privilege to work in a place where Frank Gehry was working before.
Oh
So you
yeah.
know what kind of
So
opportunity people can get. So be
Frank
ready,
Gehry
all
started
students.
working,
Yeah.
yeah, at the firm that I'm working right now. And
So
my so the alumni that I'm working under, he actually worked with him, and he has a lot of stories to tell. So it's very, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Have a
thank
good
you all
one.
Bye.
and good luck. Bye bye.
Good luck. Bye.